In this video, I would like to talk about the data collection tools, and they are generally about 5 tools. These are the questionnaires, interviews, whether with a single person or interviews with a focus group discussion, and collection of observations and review of records like the patient's files in the medical records. Now let us define certain things like questionnaire. The questionnaire is a set of questions designed to collect data, while the survey is the whole process of designing a questionnaire, distributing the questionnaire, collecting the data, analyzing it, and to come out with useful information. And the types of questionnaires are either paper-based, distributed to the target population, and the target population fills them manually and send them back, or collected by the distributor. Also, one of the type is the online questionnaires like the Google Forms. Most of the registrars are acquainted with the Google Forms, and the SurveyMonkey. The SurveyMonkey are platforms that provide numerous amount of questionnaires in different areas, and one can take any of these questionnaires freely, either use it or modify it and use it. And the third type of questionnaires is phone administered questionnaire. Commonly, the questionnaires are used to collect ideas on perceptions, like in the KAP studies. And the KAP is an acronym that denotes knowledge, attitude, and practice. For example, a descriptive study about registrars' perception on their knowledge, attitude, and practice on any subject, for example, upper or lower GI endoscopy or laparoscopic surgery or whatever topic. Now, construction of the questionnaire. The questionnaire should have a title, and the title should be attractive to capture the attention of the audience, and it should be short and better to contain the methodology. It should define the target population and the aim of the questionnaire itself, and highlight the importance of participation. Also, the questionnaire providers should ensure confidentiality and anonymity of the personal identifications of the participant identifications and their opinions respectively. And that is the confidentiality and anonymity. Also, it is better just to mention the approximate time for fill out of the questionnaire. This will be encouraging if it is a short time, and to end up with a word of gratitude, a word of thanks for participation in filling the questionnaire. Now, the body of the questionnaire should contain between 2 to 4 sections. The questionnaire should not be too long and monotonous so that it encourages people to participate. If it is too long, probably people might not feel enthusiastic to participate. And in each of these 3 or 4 sections, in each section there should be 2, 3, or 4 questions containing the same theme or subject of the questionnaire problem. Also, we should use short, direct, either closed or open-ended questions. And in the answers, we should use a multiple choice answer pattern to make responses easy, either binary like yes and no, 2 options, or 3 options, 4 options, or 5 options like the Likert scale, and it could be up to 10 options like in the scale for assessment or evaluation of pain out of 10 points. When we complete the questionnaire, we should send it for validation by 2 to 4 expert people. The expert people will look for a relevance of the questions. Are each and every question relevant to the title of the study, and is it relevant to the aim or objectives of the study? If they find some questions that are not so relevant, they can advise to omit, to delete such questions. And if they found that some questions were not mentioned, but they are of high relevance to the objectives, then they can advise to include questions. They should suggest these questions, and they advise the owner of the questionnaire to include these questions because they are so relevant to the title and to the objectives. So validation is not only to go through the questions, it's to go through the questions in their language, in their model answers, whether they can be understood, they were written clearly, they were not offensive, and at the same time, they were not so sensitive to the target audience. And after the language, and they should compare each and every question to the objectives of the questionnaire or objectives of the study. And either they omit some questions which are not relevant, or suggest to add some questions. They should suggest the questions which has high relevance, questions that have high relevance to the questionnaire objectives. After that, the owner of the questionnaire can distribute few questionnaires to 10 to 15 target persons and to recollect them and to find out, and the idea is to find out whether the understanding of the questions is similar for all target population. But mind you, the sample size when we distribute the questionnaire must be adequate and representative to the study population. The sample size to whom we are going to distribute the questionnaires should be representative and adequate. And we know that sometimes we get some questionnaires with some questions not answered. These missing to answer the questions will cause a lot of bias. It is the responder's bias. Why they didn't answer these questions? Are these questions sensitive to them? They wouldn't like to show their opinion. Are these questions offensive to them? They didn't like these questions. Are these questions difficult to understand, so they couldn't make their mind to choose an answer? Or did they just miss it by chance? So these are all causes for bias, and it will really affect the final result of the questionnaire. So we should always include some more number on the sample size we have calculated. Let us suppose we have calculated a sample size of 120. We should include about 10 to 20% more, that is 12 to 24 more, to compensate for this attrition, for those who will miss to answer questions, or deliberately they do not like to answer some questions, or they take the questionnaires and then they do not send back or they do not fill the questionnaire at all. So we have to add some between 10 to 20%. It depends on the subjects and the importance of the subject, to the calculated 10 to 20% to the calculated sample size, to compensate for these attritions. There are certain red flags. Missing responses, as I said before, they reduce the statistical power of the study. And they introduce bias. Why the responders, I repeat again, why the responders did not answer these questions. What was the reason? Is it misunderstanding or some sensitive issue, or just missed by chance? Because such bias and such missings will limit, at the end when we get the analysis, it will limit the comparability and generalizability of the results. Now, how to solve these missings? As I said, either to use between 10 to 20% more cases to compensate for these attritions, or ask the statistician who is capable to carry out imputation for statistical guessing according to the pattern of answers. When he introduced all the responses in the statistical package you are using, and there are some gaps, some missing answers, then the statistical package itself, let us say SPSS, will guess, and the statistical program will guess according to the answer patterns how to fill these gaps. This is called imputation. It is addition. It is against amputation, which is cutting off. It is building. It is imputation. But you should not deliberately, intentionally add by yourself some filling for the missing data. This will be cheating. This is unethical. Leave it for the statistical package to do it, for the statistical program to do it, if the statistician is competent enough to perform an imputation. The third option is to consider each question independently, but this will lead to variability in the sample size. Let us say in one question you asked your opinion in a subject with a binary response yes and no, and the sample size was 120. All the 120 answered, 100 answered yes and 20 answered no. So in this question, the sample size is 120. 100 yes, 20 no. In the second question, or in the next question, you ask another question also with binary response, but those who responded were few, were only 50, not 120. 50, 40 of them said yes and 10 said no. So the sample size here in the next question, in this question in particular, is 50, and this makes a lot of bias in the final result of the study if you consider each question by itself. But you should write that you considered each question independently, and this is just a descriptive. It should be interpreted with caution, and we do not generalize, we do not intend to generalize the results. These should be reported as limitations for comparability and for reliability. You should write it clearly that considering some questions, each question independently, and we know that they have different sample size in each question, will reduce the comparability, reliability, and generalizability. You should mention that in your report. Few questions in the questionnaire. The questionnaire should be of moderate size. It should not be too long and monotonous, and the participant might not fill it, might not participate. It should not be also too short. And the questions should not be few questions. And the answers should not be binary, yes and no, yes and no. Some questions should go for even a Likert scale, 5 options. Okay? And the sample size itself should not be too small, because these 3 factors, the short questionnaire, the binary responses, yes and no, only 2 options in the answer, and the small size, the small sample size, this will lower the questionnaire reliability. And even if you calculate statistically the reliability, you will find it very small. In fact, after you collect the data and you introduce it into the statistical package, you can calculate the reliability and validity of your questionnaires and of the answers. This is a post hoc reliability and validity. To do it, in the SPSS, go to Analyze. In the menu, go to Analyze, click Analyze. It will open to you a vertical menu. Go down and you will find a scale. Click on the scale. It will open a side menu. In the side menu, you will find a reliability analysis. Click on reliability analysis. It will open a box. And it will open a box, and there is a square in that box. Shift the variables into that square. And keep in that square the model alpha. It is written already in that square, model alpha. Keep it as it is. And then click OK. This will give you the reliability of your questionnaires and the data fed to the questionnaire. The reliability should be not less than 0.7. And in fact, in high-stake examinations, if you are doing a questionnaire to assess your assessment tool, your examination itself, and you did a questionnaire for that, in high-stake examinations, the reliability should not be less than 0.8. Should not be less than 0.8. With the same process, if you go on, you can also calculate the validity. I will discuss it in another video. Now I will speak about, touch on Google Forms, and then later on in this video I will speak more about Google Forms. Most of the registrars, they know the Google Forms because their advantage is that they are cost effective. In fact, they are free, found in the internet, in the Google, free, and they are easy to use and easy to distribute. But they have disadvantage. You should take care that they have disadvantage, that their basic analysis is that they just give simple frequencies. They do not give correlations or associations. So also they have big problems of security and privacy concerns. I will talk about this later on in this same video. You should consult the IT expert, in fact, to control the privacy setting of your computer, of your program, before sending any link or email. And he can help you with that. You will send the questionnaire either as a link, and you distribute the link in the public media or in the social media like WhatsApp, and you give some notes in the WhatsApp. This link is about a questionnaire on a topic so and so, and it's important. Please fill these questionnaires, and thank you for your time. Or it can be sent by email if you have the emails of the respondents, but these emails should not leak. This not to leak, it depends on your IT expert to control your setting so that no leak should happen. Or he can advise you to take the same link to any general QR code generator. Put it in that general QR code generator, and it will give you a special code. Take that special code and send it to your target population. They can just scan it by their telephones, by their telephone camera. They will immediately get the questionnaire, answer the questionnaire, and send it back. When they click on upload, they will send it back to you. Do not write names or phone numbers or ID numbers. These are security issues. These are confidentiality issues. Prevent leak of emails and even the answers of the responders. Restrict to the organization and to the target population. Don't allow the questionnaire to leak to the general population. And after the end of your study, delete completely the questionnaire. Now in the construction, I said you should the questionnaire should have a title, define your target population, and write an aim and highlight the importance of their participation, and ensure confidentiality and anonymity of the respondents' identifications and their answers respectively, and mention the approximate time for filling to encourage people to fill your questionnaire and upload it, and write a word of appreciation for them. Now let us talk about the interview as a data collection tool. As I said, the interview could be by one person or by several persons, or it could be also in focus group discussion, and the same idea, the same methodology. So the subject of discussion should be very clear, and you should define the target person or persons, and also you should clearly mention the aim and the importance of participation, and ensure confidentiality and anonymity. As I said before, the approximate time for interview so that people will be encouraged to participate in the interview, and a word of appreciation for participation. It is important in the interview to develop a discussion guide. In the discussion guide, it should be used for interviews and for focus group discussions also. Use structured questions, not to waste time. Write down the questions you are going to answer, you are going to ask. Specific, focus questions, and use open-ended or short-ended questions. They should be short, not convoluted, not to go around and around. The answers should be also short, pinpoint, to the point. Assign a moderator, or one of your you yourself should be the moderator to interview the others, or to lead the focus group discussion. And assign assistant, one of your colleagues, to write the answers, so that you will not waste time in asking and writing and keeping the time. He can help you in writing the answers and keeping the time for you. An example for that is like interviewing surgeons or a focus group with surgeons on their perception of their antibiotic prescription and on the prevalence of the surgical site infection amid Sudan war. And you can do this in a cross-sectional study. Usually you should be the moderator for the interview or for the focus group, and you have certain functions to observe. You should encourage interaction. Don't leave some people silent and some people dominate. Avoid dominant voices. Give chances for all. Also, those people who are silent, ask them what is their opinion, and focus on the topic. Don't allow audience to distract you to go to other topics or other important issues. Focus on your topic. Avoid dominant voices. Let each and every person participate. Regulate the themes. Start the questions one theme after another, and control the time. Your friend, your secretary, who is working as a secretary, will help you, or as a scribe, will help you in defining the time. And at the end, show them a word of thanks, and you take all the responses with your friend for thematic analysis of their opinions. Now let us come back to the Google Forms. Most of the people are acquainted with these Google Forms because they are free and they are easy to use. And in the Google Form, as I said, you should have a title, and you should state the aims and the importance of participation, anonymity, and confidentiality, and word of thanks for the time to fill the Google Form. And then you write 3 to 4 sections. In each section, write 2 to 4 questions containing the same theme, one theme. This will help you in analysis later. And in the questions also, you choose a model for answer, either binary, yes and no, or 3 options or 4 options, or if it is open-ended question, leave a space for them to write, or 5 options like the Likert scale, like I strongly agree, cannot decide, don't agree, strongly, don't agree. However, as I said before, and there are drawbacks for the Google Forms because they give only very simple frequency charts. It does not contain correlations or associations or any relationship. So to have some analysis on relationships, on associations and correlations, you have to transfer the Google form data to Google Sheet. Go to the upper right side of your page in the respondents page. When you gather their idea, all their opinions in their responses, on the upper right corner, you will find a small green icon. Click on that green icon, it will take you to a Google Sheet. And here, this is a Google Sheet. All the data will be transferred into a Google Sheet. You can go and save it and give it a name. Go to File, download it, and you can download it as Excel file. Go to File, Download, click Download, click Excel. It will form for you an Excel file. And here is our data in an Excel file. In the Excel file, we have to rename the columns. We have asked questions. Each question is composed of so many words. Now we have to minimize these words into one single word. One single word. If we have chosen 2 words, they should be connected with each other without any space. Summarize each question in 1 word or 1.5 word, connect all the letters connected to each other as the name of the column. Now if you made the names, you rename each and every column. Some columns you might not need, you can delete. But the columns you need, you should rename them by choosing only 1 word to summarize the whole question. This is very important. Having done that, you save the file with the name in the Excel program. Okay, now our file is saved. When it is saved, go to the SPSS, click Open in the SPSS, click File, Open, click Data, click the file name, and then click OK. All the data will be imported into the SPSS. Now you have 2 things to do in the SPSS program. You have to go to the menu above and look for the titles of the columns, and look for on the right side for the column titled Measure, and then describe the type of data in each line. The data could be scale data like the age or the hospitalization period or the length of operation. It could be continuous numerical data. This is scale data. Make it scale data. And it could be a data in order, like the answers you have made. A Likert scale, it is an answer in order from 1 to 5. Okay, since they are in order, these are ordinal data. Make it ordinal data. Then the last type of data is the data that has names, but they are not in orders, like sex, male and female. They are not in orders. Just make them nominal data. Nominal data. This is one thing you do in the SPSS. The other thing, you have to go to the title of the column, which is values, to give the values in each line. When you click, then you see the answers. If the answer is, let us say, male, female, then you give one male, click add, it will go into the box. Then two, the equivalent for that female, click add, and then OK. If they are, for example, 5, you click number 1 is the first answer. For example, I strongly agree. Click add, then add, it will enter into the table, and then write 2 and write agree. Click add, it will enter into the square, and write 3, and then write cannot decide or don't know. Click add, it will enter into the box or into the square, and the same thing for don't agree, and 5 for strongly don't agree, and then OK. Now you have filled the column containing the values, or titled with values. Now your data is ready for analysis, and you can go to analyze. You choose in the menu of analyze whatever you would like to have, whether it is univariate analysis, bivariate, multivariate analysis, any sort of association, linear regression, any type of regression you would like to do.